The Bulls have 3 seconds to try a shot and try to win the game.
This is the Notebook Wagering Podcast.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Coming to you from the betting deck.
Don't believe what I just saw.
Here are your hosts.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable!
Hey, it's Wednesday night. It is Notebook Wagering time. Live from the Salisbury Center, fueled by Monster Energy. I am Smitty. I am in studio. We got the full team here this Wednesday night. We got Q back, man. It is so great to see Q. Q, I'm going to come to you first. You've been kind of gone for a couple days here, or a couple of shows. Why don't you dive in and tell the audience what's going on in your life? All good news, but go at it, my friend.
Yeah, I've been sleep deprived. I've got a new child, new daughter, so that was an excused absence from the show. I did get it from our bosses, so I'm glad to be back. A little tired. You brought on the I'm not wearing a hat this time. My house looks like a tornado. I got a 2-year-old running around. I'm just lucky to be down here in the basement in the studio, so we're going to take that as a win.
Yeah, you're kind of throwing me off tonight with no hat.
Just draw one on.
No, you look good. I mean, you look good. Don't worry about it. I like at it. And then, like I said, I've taken over now the chair. You might be over a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. If you come back, I might be a nice guy and kind of give it back to you. Hey, Jason, what's going on up in Pittsburgh tonight?
Nothing. Enjoying Mitch Keller Day as it was today. He is the guy to bet on when the Pirates. Don't bet on anybody else, but he has cashed in. I think it's the 7th win of the season, and the only guy pitching right now they have worth a darn. So just enjoying the W and the series win over the Giants.
Yeah, I lost that Rich Hill. Can't do it anymore. Dr. Brent really comes after me anymore on that. So that was a tough one. Hey, we got Matty Iceman up in Pittsburgh too. Matty, what's going on?
Smitty, I think I warned you about Rich Hill in the beginning of the year, and you said you liked that guy. So I'm going to send you a bunch of his rookie cards, though. Maybe even one's an auto, and you can frame that sucker and put it up on your wall. Nothing good here. Back at the work grind. I just want to give a special shout out to all the Memorial Day vets. For everybody, we appreciate all your stuff. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. We know all the sacrifices you made, but let's kick it off. We got a big slate, man. We got the finals of the NHL, finals of the NBA. Let's roll.
Yeah, well said there, my Matt there. Thank you very much. But yeah, let's dive into the NBA. Let's break down. I'm going to do this since I'm kind of hosting tonight. Let's talk Celtics for a little bit here. Let's talk Game 7 in the Eastern, just to kind of, I'd love to hear your guys' some thoughts on this. It was very disappointing for me when your team's down 0-3 and then they come back and you're feeling good. You're back in Boston, but then it goes really, really bad. So I'll put my 2 cents in here in a couple minutes. Matty, why don't we start with you? What happened with the Celtics in Game 7? Because it wasn't pretty.
I think I don't want to say that I said it on the show with Will Hill, but I said, do you know how hard it is to win 4 games in a row? I mean, nobody's ever done it. It's just nobody's ever done it down 3-0. There's been sweeps, of course, but and a 4-1, et cetera, like that. But man, that's so many emotions. That's such a gritty stretch you have to gear up for game in, game out. You can't screw around. Your coach has to be on point, and I said that I was not a fan of that coach, Spoelstra. I mean, and then as soon as the game starts, and I do kind of feel bad, but I don't. Tatum rolls his ankle right out of the gate, and I think you saw the balloon basically did pop as soon as that happened, and you saw him limping, and then Brown didn't show up, and I mean, it was a slow stick the knife in, turn it for Game 7. But hey, for all you Heat fans and Heat backers, good for you guys. I think they actually deserve to win the series. I'm actually looking forward to the finals because I'm on the Nuggets train. So I'll turn it over to Jason next.
Boston is just a team it's really easy to hate. Like, you look at them, that's a good basketball team, and they're really poorly coached. They were looking for a way out, Matty. You're getting off too easy on them. That is way too talented of a team to get in that situation in the first place. And you get it home in Boston. That place should have been going nuts. Tatum rolls his ankle. So what? They should have somebody step up. I can't believe I'm talking like Mr. Sports Talk here, but like that team was so frustrating to watch. I'm sorry. The Heat deserved every bit of that series. Like you watch the way they play versus the way the Celtics. Celtics are so much better on paper. It's ridiculous, but they got what they deserved. And the Heat, I think, is really good. Actually, going to be a good finals.
Just real quick, I was off the East Conference anyway as soon as my Sixers blew it against Boston because realistically, that's who should have been in the finals against the Heat. And I still think that
so they would have got the 3-2 and lost?
Yeah. I think the NBA Finals should be the Sixers and the Nuggets, and we get the battle of the big men that we wanted. But no, thanks, Doc Rivers. You can suck it.
Well, that's the problem. You were never going to get there because of what you just said. Doc Rivers is never going to.
Here we go again. We're gonna lose Doc Rivers now on the show, like we did last week with a couple people. Q, did you catch?
We should lose Doc Rivers. How's that guy? How is he a candidate in Phoenix?
Yeah, I don't.
What is he like? Best friends with Isaiah Thomas? That's ridiculous.
I don't know. I don't know if we want Doc Rivers on the show. He did get a championship for Boston, but that's okay. Q, in your craziness of being a dad again, did you catch any of the NBA?
I caught a little bit of it. I watched the last game with Tatum rolling the ankle. It's pretty pathetic if you're a Celtics fan to blow that 3-0 series and you couldn't get one out of the next 4 games. Like Jason alluded to, they're so much better on paper, but you could just see like Jimmy Butler and Duncan and those guys, like they play with heart. They play team basketball. They never stop grinding, and it just seemed like the Celtics, I wouldn't say were checked out, but it seemed like after they went up 3-0, it was kind of like, it is what it is. Like, we'll catch it, and they just never did, and they were kind of caught, on their tailbones and couldn't really react. Credit to Jimmy Butler. I think he's, you could argue he's probably at least this season in this moment, he's top 3 basketball player right now. I mean, to lead a team like that is incredible. The guy's a workhorse.
Yeah, I'll throw my 2 cents here because I'm a big Celtics fan. Losing Tatum hurt, but he played. That's an excuse. There's a lot of other guys that could have stepped up. Like I think Jason kind of hit on. They could have stepped up and did some things there. Brown, I'll tell you right now, Brown, in my opinion, this is 2 straight years in a row that I've got, last year, the Celtics should have won the championship last year. And then they should have won it again this year because you had the Heat taking out Milwaukee. That was probably maybe the best team. Now, Maddie's going to say Philly, and Philly had a very talented team. But Brown can't dribble. Have you ever seen a guy in the NBA that can't dribble a basketball? Because that guy can't dribble a basketball, especially trying to like shift and make a move on somebody. He loses the ball. I think he had 8 turnovers in game 7 and he didn't shoot well. He didn't show up. And then again, like I like Marcus Smart. I do. White. Hey, without White, that game's not even close. He was carrying them on his back in the 3rd quarter. I think they had it down to 7 at one point. And I'm sitting on the couch going, all right, here it comes. Here it comes. And Big Al just, I had points, rebounds, I think over 13.5 I gave out on Twitter, and that was a winner. He did rebound well, and he had a couple, but he didn't shoot well, and he's on his last leg too. Like Maddie said, the coach isn't good. I mean, he's just not. I'm sorry. Go watch your movie. The Town, or like I said last week, Porky's.
Did you watch The Town yet?
No, I didn't watch. I'd rather watch Porky's and all of the Porkies than the Town. And I probably wouldn't.
Hey, The Town's a good movie.
I would like The Town. I mean,
that's ridiculous.
Well, listen, guys, I'm watching American Pickers, and I'm trying to handicap here. And I'm trying to catch something on late night Cinemax. So, other than that, I'm just.
You have a phone for that.
Yeah, exactly. so overall, it just wasn't good. Okay, so here, I'm going to ask this before we dive into the next series. As a Celtics fan, where are they going to go? Because you have all this money in with Tatum. Now you're going to have to pay Brown all this money. How are they going to build around this team now? Man, they missed their window. They missed their window,
Brown.
didn't it? Jason, go ahead, man. Did they miss their window?
You need shots for White. You don't pay Brown. So, and then you think about Marcus Smart because he tries to get himself in the offense. Still, it's far too much for a guy who's a really good defender. I mean, they're running plays through him at the end of the game. Game 6, with the layup at the buzzer, they ran a play for Marcus Smart. Out of White, Tatum, and Brown, they pick him to give the ball to. Like, what is that? So I think you get rid of Smart, you get rid of Brown, you let White develop. You go find someone that can play. Make sure that Jason Tatum gets the ball way more than he's getting it now, and you play Robert Williams. Like, Miami didn't have an answer for him. He should have played way more than Horford did. He needed someone near the rim because Bam doesn't really want to play by the rim.
Can I just jump in?
Everything he wanted.
Not to cut you off. I just saw today. Now, how true this is. Again, you see stuff, and I've always said this. It's hard to believe everything. They said he had the flu and he was thrown up big time in the locker room before Game 7. Robert Williams. That came out today.
Well, he played better than a lot of the guys who weren't sick. So maybe Brown should have caught that flu.
That would have been nice.
I think it's convenient that anytime there's a team that loses in a heightened moment, that there's always an injury or somebody. There's stories come out the flu. They were taking an IV right before shoot around. It just seems. I don't know. I'm not discrediting it. I wasn't there. I wasn't the team doctor, but I find it convenient that in numerous occasions in sports, not just the Celtics or in basketball in general, there's always somebody, well, they were bad. Now they lost the game. The report's coming out. There was flu in camp, and it just seems, I don't know, that seems like a scapegoat. But Brown's gone. I don't see where they keep him. And then Smart, same thing with him. He reminds me of like Andre Iguodala, who's just one of the best defenders. But then, when the 76ers would go down late in the game and they would draw it up for him, obviously he was their star player, or what you would consider a star player for that team, and he would just always break the shot. That's who Marcus Smart reminds me of. Just know your role, play good lockdown defense, and just let the other guys shoot.
Smitty, Brown doesn't like the spotlight. He's gone. They can't afford to pay him because he's going to get a max contract, which is scary.
$50 million. And between him and Tatum, it's going to be, I don't know the number. I've heard the number. It's insane.
But what Jason said, though, makes a lot of sense. You have to have somebody give Tatum the ball. And I already hate these rumors. Oh, let's go get Dame Lillard. But Dame Lillard doesn't want to dish the ball. That dude wants to shoot more than Tatum.
He's a shooter.
Yeah. If you want to get somebody to dish the ball, I know the free agency class is really weak, but go get Fred VanVleet. Put him in there. Let him dish the ball. He's still good for 18 points a game, but he can get you 8 to 9 assists a game too. Perfect complement with Robert Williams. Fill in somebody, get rid of Horford, bring in some free agent power forward, reset. But it's not that complicated. Who knows what they're going to do? But I mean, God, get rid of Missouri.
Bring back the Celtics legend Rajon Rondo. He dished you a freaking world title. Let's go.
He did play Crazy D though too.
Yeah, he was good.
Did.
That was a good team.
Couldn't shoot to save his life, but good God, he could dish a ball.
Smitty, I wanted to. The Jaylen Brown dribbling reminded me of when you watched the old early 2000s Ben Wallace trying to dribble.
There you go.
I was thinking the Wizards with John Wall. John Wall had about 9 turnovers. When he would drive, the ball would bounce off his leg. That's who I thought immediately.
Ben Wallace literally looked like he had a frying pan for a hand trying to dribble a ball.
Did you guys ever watch The Office, the TV show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when they did that basketball episode with the guys going downstairs and, he wanted Stanley to play and Stanley came down and he was dribbling really bad. Like he could barely dribble the ball.
Yeah.
People were putting that on Twitter and I got a good laugh out of that because that's what this guy, 2 years in a row, I had to watch this. Guy can't dribble. How's this guy that good and he can't dribble a basketball? It's bad.
I don't know. He needs to go stand in a corner on a good team and hit threes.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, let's go. I think tomorrow night we got, so Miami's heading out and you got Denver. Denver's well rested. I mean, they've been off for a long time here. And again, here's a Miami team, guys, that is just amazing because they have like 8 or 9 guys on this team, not drafted. The coach is unbelievable. They do try to play some type of zone with this. Do they have any shot at all? I mean, any shot at all? I mean, and Jason had a good text today about Caleb Martin that should have won the MVP. I'm sorry. He should have got it over Jimmy Buckets, man. He played, I mean, watching these games, he was the better player on the court. He killed the Celtics. So do the Heat have any shot beating Denver? Jason, I'll start with you.
I would defer to Matty to let him go first.
Okay, go ahead, Matty.
No, they do not. And I'm not saying that like smart-assedly. I just think it's a horrible, horrible matchup for Miami. They don't have anybody who can guard Murray. They're going to play a zone, which they're good at. But Nikola Jokic is going to eat that zone up like no other. He distributes the ball better than point guards. I mean, they're going to have cutters, and then once somebody cuts, somebody's going to pinch the lane, and there's Murray out for three, or Brown outside for three, or Porter outside for three. Porter and Gordon are going to cut to the hoop. They actually have more scores than you think, even though they're not stuffing the stat sheet. Porter Jr. is fantastic. Aaron Gordon can still dump in. I mean, you look at his over-under props, it's usually around 15 a game, which is solid. Murray's going to give you 20. Jokic is going to give you 20. Jokic is going to give you the triple-double. I mean, Bam is a good defender, but I think with Jokic against Bam, they're 10-2, and he shoots 60 to 67% every game against the Heat. I mean, that's nuts. I just don't think, and you know Denver is going to be absolutely crazy for the first time ever to see this team in the finals. Home court's going to be lit. I think this is going to be dumb to say. I actually think the Heat may steal game one, as we've seen in so many times in so many series, even going back to the Sixers-Lakers with Iverson. Like, they stole game one, and then they just get absolutely thrashed out of the rest of the games. I think that's what's going to happen. I like the Nuggets, and I like the Nuggets in 5.
So you're going with the gentleman's sweep?
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think Miami can steal game one because Denver has been off that long. I think that's a detriment. Like, you want to have that like perfect amount of rest, but I think that's a full week now that they've been off. And plus, I think it's easier for Miami to steal game one than game two because you're going to have to deal with the altitude in game two. That's one of the things that's noted. You not so much that game that hurts you, it's your recovery, especially if you're not used to it. So you have some older guys and older legs on Miami. I don't think they're going to be quite as fresh on game two. So I definitely think Denver will win that one. But I don't know, Miami has used a lot of zone because they knew it bothered Boston. I don't think, and they used a lot this year because they were so hurt, but I don't think they'll use it in this game. I think they're going to let Jokic do what he wants to do and just take away everybody else. And I think that'll work. I don't know if it'll work enough to win the series, but I think you can make them competitive. And it's just where the points are going to come from. You're going to need Caleb Martin to do exactly what he did last series. And I don't know if you can count on him for that because I think Jimmy Butler's kind of running out of gas. You saw it against the Celtics. Like game 5 through 7 wasn't quite the same energy level as 1 through 4. And he's an older guy too. Bam Adebayo has to play way better than he did in the Celtics series. And I think they'll use him as kind of a free safety type. Like, I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to let Jokic get his points. They're going to keep Bam away from him because they can't afford to lose him on the offensive end. And then it's just who's going to hit the most three-pointers like we talked about last week. So what do you see on this one, Q?
I'm going to defer because I didn't really catch the Nuggets series. I really only was able to watch the Celtics and the Heat. I do obviously know Jokic and, Michael Porter can shoot. They've got guys coming off the bench who can score as well, like Jeff Green is a proven veteran to score. I think you said it best with the recovery of the altitude, and, Matt said it best. They're going to be playing on momentum in game one, so I agree with you. I think a Heat, whatever, they're probably going to be plus money on that one. I think that's worth a good look, but then, handle Denver the way, moving forward after that. I also think Denver's going to play a little rusty to start the game. When you have, I think the ideal amount is probably 4 to 5 days. Once you start getting into that 8, 9, 10 day territory, then you start, wondering how hard were their practices? Did they have a couple practices that were game mentality to try to stay in that groove? Were they more concerned with getting guys healthy? You just don't. There's so many questions that you can start to bring up about that. So I like where you guys' heads at. To me, the Nuggets, I think it's their year, their destiny. They just have too many scores. Nobody in the league can guard Jokic, in my opinion. The guy can shoot, he can pass, he dribbles well, he plays good defense. There's a reason for that. Adebayo's I think he's just going to be outmatched. He's going to be outsized as well. He can't guard, you know, I don't think he could play as a free safety in all honesty without being gassed out. I mean, it's kind of the him and Jimmy show in terms of defense, and I think it's just going to burn him out because there's too many options on the court. They're going to be chasing guys and essentially chasing the ball for 4 quarters, and I just don't see that as a sustainable success.
Well, Q, I just want to say, how dare you? You're not catching up on the Nuggets game. Like, you don't have anything going on in your life at all. Come on now. You're up late. I mean, they played late. Those games were really late.
Still on that team?
Oh, exactly.
He is not, no.
All right. Hey,
English also retired.
On my book, it's -9.
Antonio McDice.
Danny Fortson. Little Danny Fortson out there in Denver there.
They used to stomp my ass in NBA 2000.
We going deep there? Doug Moe coaching? Doug Moe? Am I correct on that?
Oh, wow. There you go, way back.
Oh, that's going way back, but I'm so good at that. So I have
Lever and Michael Adams.
Paul Westbrook. Didn't they try to go like 200? Like they just run and gun out there at one point in there?
Yeah, with
Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Man, hey, we got everything on this show. So I got -9, guys, -2, -9, 219 right now in my book, the over-under. I think that's kind of high. I might be eyeing that up.
Just give me the point.
Yeah, I like the +9 there.
Yeah.
You like the +9 for Miami?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, game 1.
Okay.
What's the money line, Smitty?
On my book, I had Nuggets -400, Heat +250.
Yeah.
Play the +9, throw $10 on the +250.
Oh, that 250 is harsh. I got 290 at BetMGM. So I think you can get around +300 if you shop around a little bit. So, yeah, I think game 1, definitely take the points, take a little money line, and probably the under if you like Miami. And if you like Denver, definitely take the over. Yeah, and I wouldn't lay the points, but boy, I'd probably wait maybe live until if Miami made a run at them and take the Nuggets then.
Yeah, I might be looking at that under. All right, let's dive in. We got a little bit before we'll do a break here. Let's dive into NHL. That's Jason and Maddie's thing here. We got the Florida Panthers heading out to Vegas. I have Jason. Game 1, I have -130 on my book. Florida +110 and the over under 5.5. Jason, I listen, I'm not, and I've said this many times on this show, I love gambling hockey. I'm not an expert. Man, I like it. I like it. It gets me going a little bit here, but man, how aren't you going to take Florida? I like Florida. What do you think, Jason?
No, I mean, there's no reason not to like Florida. I mean, this is like a good series. Vegas is a little deeper, but a bigger question mark in the net. I think that's the biggest thing. It's another series where you've got like a week off between the games, which is kind of rare that they have that much time. Doesn't really benefit either team, I don't think. I think Florida got a couple guys back, but they weren't really that hurt to begin with. I think the biggest thing is, will Bobrovsky be as hot as he was with that time off? Or will he kind of come back down to earth and not play at the level he has through like the whole Eastern Conference playoffs where he kind of carried them? Yeah, I would think game 1, I think it's a coin toss. I would definitely lean Panthers +115. But for the series, I like Knights overall. But I think the biggest question mark is goaltending and where it comes down to. I do like the over in the first game. I know, Smitty, you like those hockey unders, but I do think they're going to be a little pumped up. The goalie's going to be a little rusty from the time off, and you're going to have some fresh legs out there. The Vegas ice should be good. I think the Florida ice in the series will probably be pretty bad. Humidity is a bigger factor in ice quality than anything else. Obviously, we know the desert, there is no humidity. Miami has more than enough humidity for everybody. So it'll be interesting to see how they keep the ice good in Florida because they're going to want to skate. It's a fast team. If it gets choppy, if it gets kind of ugly, Vegas is bigger. They're a little better at getting the ugly goals. So I would definitely, that's going to favor them later in the series. Maddie, what do you think?
Real quick, I'm going to just jump in. You're talking about choppy ice. I needed that last week when I had that first period under and we talked about it. I need that delayed and maybe postponed. But now you're talking about the humidity and the choppy ice. Oh, go ahead, Maddie.
So I kind of agree with Jason, yet I kind of disagree with Jason. And we've kind of been on that same boat for the past couple of years. So I think the goaltending is priority number 1. But the crazy stat is Aiden Hill actually has a better goals against average and a better save percentage right now than Bobrovsky, which nobody's paying attention to. Now, I am all in. I am Team Florida Panthers. I'm all in on them to win the series. The other reason after goaltending is, like, who's the it guy? And we all know from the tabloids and everything, if you're paying attention, the it guy right now is Matthew Tkachuk, who basically is probably even money with Bobrovsky to win the Conn Smythe. However, when you dig in a little deeper, Jack Eichel for Vegas is absolutely playing nutso right now. He's scoring. He's doing the dirty things. He's actually doing the Tkachuk things for them. So I think it's a toss-up. I think this series is going to go 7. I think it's going to be a grind out. I think it's going to go 1-1 in Vegas, then go back to Florida and go 1-1, and then who's going to take it home? Not sure. I think there's going to be one of those two overtime games where somebody gets the advantage. And I actually lean Florida because I actually think Tkachuk is just a better it guy right now. And it's nothing against Vegas. They are deeper. They are bigger. And they also take a couple dumber penalties than what Florida does, which might hurt them in the long run, especially when Bobrovsky is so hot right now. He's seasoned, and then Aiden Hill's a little more raw. So I give the edge to Florida in the series.
Q, anything?
Nothing.
I don't say much either.
Put it out there.
She was like, "Who the hell is Conn Smythe?"
I didn't do my homework.
Can I tell you? I don't know either, but I like that first period under, and I like the choppy ice, and I like flicking the puck back. It doesn't matter. You dive.
I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something though with the first period unders, because I mean, looking at game one, I think the total's what, 5.5.
5.5.
I don't think any of these games are going to budge under 5.5. Period. I think you can probably set that in stone for the whole series, unless one of these goaltenders gets run and then ran right off the ice, and then they bring in a backup. You could see that line move. But I think that's a smart play, is for you to actually just book it every time. Get that first 20 minutes under your belt and go under first period.
Well, I think it's a fun bet. I mean, I'm not saying go crazy. I never go crazy. I throw a little bit of pizza money on it and stuff. It's entertaining. But the thing is, like, you can be looking great, like really good. Like, I was 0-0 in that last Dallas, maybe the second to last game in that 0-0. And then I was doing something, put the phone back on. It was 3-0. I was like, oh, that stinks again. I'm like, geez, Louise, I'm done with these at all. But I mean, it's so fun. I mean, playoff hockey's fantastic. I think the NBA playoffs were really entertaining too. Wish my Celtics would have got into it, but yeah, there you go. That's some good info. I mean, check our Twitter out. We're going to be giving out some plays. I mean, player props for sure. I know Matty really likes the NBA player props, and he does a fantastic job on those, and I like to try to dive into it. So I got a lot of time tomorrow. Today was my last day at work, so guess what? I'm diving in hardcore now, so I love it so much. So, hey, stay with us. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk Major League Baseball, and then we're going to just give you a little tease. We got something like the regionals in college baseball coming up, and I know Q's really fired up for that. So we're going to come back, and we're going to talk those two things. So stay with us. We'll be back in like a minute and a half. Stay with Notebook Wagering.
This is your wallet. It tells a story, who you are, what you keep close, what you love. But it also tells how important are your finances, how you look after your money. But what if your wallet was crafted differently? It would consist of a protective case that will keep your cards fastened and your banknotes joined under a cash strap. Its slim design would help you hide it in the most challenging situations. All your cards would be easy to reach and kept compact inside the case. Ridge Wallet helps you keep control of your belongings. Choose protection in a modern design. From Ridge Wallet.
They say fortune is fickle. Wrong. I just know what I like! And it ain't settling for 3. Because life's a gamble. Name is guaranteed. Gamble. Evil, gunning it for glory. Gamble. Love. Gamble. So let's make it interesting. I put $1 million in up to 5 DraftKings Sportsbook accounts.
Lay it all on tonight's game or kiss it goodbye.
Hello, Fortune.
Now back to putting money in your pocket with the Notebook Wagering Show on WSN.
You can pick a game, you can pick a region, you can pick I think that's the best way to go about it.
Hey, we're back. Notebook Wagering Wednesday night, live from the Salisbury Center, fueled by Monster Energy. We're going to dive into a little bit of baseball talk right now, Major League Baseball, and then we're going to dive into college baseball, and Q's going to get real fired up. We could have done probably the last 30 minutes with this, but we're gonna hold off on that. Hey, let's dive into Major League Baseball. Just overall, again, thoughts, what you're seeing with teams, maybe trends, maybe where you guys are leaning with bets. I have a couple things right now that's working for me, so I'll give out. But Maddie, let's start with you. Anything right now, Major League Baseball? How's your Phillies doing? Are you excited? Are you not? Or what's going on?
I'm not excited. I'm not disappointed. They're kind of where I expect them to be with their injuries. They're getting their pitchers back. Schwarber and Turner are just being just absolute bums right now. They're losing to the Mets tonight, so that pain hurts. Yeah. I'm not excited about baseball yet. I think we're still feeling everything out. I like when some guys get called up here soon. I like right before the All-Star break when you get to see, okay, who's separating themselves? How are your bets? Your future's looking. I know Q has money on the Cubs, I believe. I got some money on the Tigers. And surprisingly, the Tigers are looking okay. I'm going to give one person a fade, and it's killing my fantasy team. Fade Alek Manoah of the Blue Jays. He's absolutely brutal right now. I believe I heard a stat. He's got like 29 innings pitched or something and has 32 walks. I mean, just give it up. Just put him in the pen. Let him sort it out. Got a long reliever. Hey, Jason, go right ahead. I don't know.
6.85 walks per 9 right now. That's insane. Usually that stat's around 2 or 3.
Yeah,
I don't even think.
Hey, jumping in real quick. He's pitching tonight. 3 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 K. He's up to a 5.56 ERA. Go ahead, Q.
I don't even think you bump into the pen. I think you send him to AAA for a little while and figure out what's going on. Is it the pitch clock? Is it his conditioning? He's out of shape. Like, you've got to look into a mirror because you have just went from all-star caliber to like shouldn't even be on the roster. And I understand you try to work some guys through that, but you're on a team where they can make a run. They have the ability. They have the talent around him. You've got to correct this, or maybe not even correct it, but you've got to figure out if this is a fixable problem now before you get too late in the season and he costs you too many wins, in my opinion, for a team that has the ability to make a run.
I was going to say the same thing, and it's a great point, but how do you send a guy who was almost the starter in the All-Star game to AAA? I mean, maybe sit him a couple starts. I don't know if you can send that guy down to AAA and not have his ego absolutely shredded.
Well, I think, you're right, but I think you got to have a real conversation with this guy and say, look, dude, why are you struggling? I mean, yes, you're overweight. Is that the problem? Is the pitch clock, like, I mean, seriously, for a guy his size to have to rush everything, that's gassing him, and I don't see where the fallout could just happen. I mean, and he's not throwing balls to the backstop like Rick Ankiel. He's just walking guys. So, like, and he's just getting shelled. There's something underlying, and you've got to figure it out, whether you bench him, you send him to AAA for a look in the mirror or whatever. We're right on. It's just how they want to do it, but they've got to do it now, I think, and figure this out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's kind of scary. I mean, he's not Bartolo Colon.
No, but he's not in the greatest shape.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's basically the version of CC Sabathia without all the stats but CC could take his time out there. Now he can't. So no, you're absolutely right. I just find it funny that we're talking about this poor guy's week.
It's interesting that Q mentions the pitch clock because he is still one of the slowest pitchers in baseball, 18 seconds per pitch, the 385th out of 390. So I think he nailed it. I think he's just not in condition, and that the clock sneaks up on him. And you had seen it with the Phillies starting pitching. They struggled early in the year with the pitch clock, and they were one of the slower staffs last year. And they're starting to really come around now, but it took him a while to get used to it. I think Manoah, just like you said, he's just not in shape enough to pitch. He's only 25. He still has 3 options left. He's really never been down in the minors because he came up pretty quick from West Virginia. So I think you can send him down. I mean, it's not far away in Buffalo, and you can kind of because I think you have to work on the mechanics, or you have to figure a way around this because this is not something you can solve. You can't just drop 30 pounds in the next month and say, okay, you're ready to go for the fall. You know what I mean? Like, they have to figure out a way to be able to use him because he is a really effective pitcher, and it's not a team that has a lot of great starting pitching.
I wouldn't be shocked there. That's like an IL. Like he has a blister.
Yeah.
You're going to see that soon. Like he has a blister or something. And then
hey, can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Can you guys just obviously I'm able to watch the Nationals here just with the baby and stuff. I've kind of been out of tune with the Cubs. I see them drastically losing. What happened? Because they started off so hot. Now, I know their pitching isn't stellar by any means, but they're dropping everything. Can you guys help me out here?
It's the team. Who was the team again?
The Cubs.
I don't think they were ever that good, Q. Like they're average, and they got hot early, and I believe Bellinger's on the DL. I think they're going to kind of go youth movement. They have that Christopher Morel, Matt Mervis is playing, Nico Horner's still young. Swanson started out great, but no, say Suzuki's still young, but it's their pitching. Their pitching has really gone downhill.
Well, Stroman pitched a fantastic game the other day against Tampa. But the thing with it is he's probably going to get traded as the season goes on.
They're going to get good outings, but I don't think they're going to get consistent good outings, which is the bad thing.
I'm sitting on, I'll tell you right now, over 76.5 wins, and I don't know if I'm going to get there now.
Oh, I don't think you're going to get there. I'm not gonna
I was just asking
listen, I'm going to say the same thing. I'm worried about my Pirates now. That looked like, and that was a lot lower. I'm worried about the Pirates. Now, the Pirates won 2 in a row, but I'm worried about that. But I think the Cubs, like Matt said, in my opinion, they're going to probably trade some people, and then you're going to go in that youth movement. I don't know if they're going to get there. I mean, they came in this week, and this is why baseball's so hard, because they came in the other day, the worst team in the National League. Tampa comes in there, and you're like, okay, Tampa's unbelievable. Tampa, well, they took the first 2. They were winning again today. Tampa came back and got them. Now I'm going to jump really quick. The Braves went out to Oakland. Oakland can't beat anybody. Oakland, they 1-22 on day games. And you go out there, but here's the great thing. Sharp Angle Syndicate, we gave this out on the other day. That Sunday night game, keep an eye on these teams that play Sunday night. The Braves played Sunday night, had to go out. I saw on Twitter, they didn't get out in that area until like 5 a.m. Like it was late. And Oakland beat them. Then you and I'm going to say this, I played the team runs last night over for the Braves. Man, it didn't get close. They lost again last night. Now, I didn't see what the score was today. Did they win?
The Braves?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Braves did win today. But, Smitty, I don't know if you're reading my mind or not. I actually wanted to bring the Braves up, but I wanted to bring a player up. Have you guys watched Michael Harris and what's going on? So he goes from Rookie of the Year. He's in like 170. There's another guy, Q. I think it's like the Manoah. Do they send him down? Because he's actually starting to hurt them a little bit.
I think so. He's young enough. I mean, they locked him up last year. He's young enough you can send him down and kind of correct the problem before it becomes almost like a – and I think the Braves, that's a perfect example. Like, they had kind of the Jeff Francoeur, right? He was the up-and-coming guy, kind of like Michael Harris. They never really sent him down, and he never really panned out. I think they just signed Michael Harris to a team-friendly deal last year or the year before. Send him down, figure it out before you create a systemic problem and you end up ruining this guy's career. You know, by him batting 179 in the major leagues, can't figure it out. Confidence goes down, and he's just a bust. I don't know. I mean, that's how I would handle it. I'm a cutthroat GM though when I run, MLB the Show teams. So it is what it is.
I used to bench everybody on Baseball Stars when they weren't doing anything on Nintendo. So come on.
No, I mean, I think you have to in this day and age. I mean, the youth movement. Every player is playing that is so young. They kind of need reality checks, in my opinion, because they fly through the minor leagues so fast. I mean, you look at the older guys, right? The older stars, they didn't go through the minor leagues within one season and come up, often. And now it's happening all the time. So I think the development, obviously they come up, they do well because teams don't really know them that well. There's not much on them for scouting purposes. And then teams start to figure them out. Then you decide, is that player elite enough to kind of make the changes himself, or does it rely on the team to have to make that changes?
I think that's a lot. Yeah. Here's the thing with baseball. We're seeing it with Hayes with the Pirates. The guy has a lot of potential. Hayes can play a great third base, and he can't hit. Jason's been calling this for like 2 years, and I've been like, he'll be okay, Jason. He'll be okay. Don't worry about it. Well, it's starting to get a little panic time. Now, I think he had 2-3 hits today, but that's the thing with baseball. It's so hard. You get these guys and you go, oh, this guy's a sure thing. I mean, I always look at Pedro Alvarez for the Pirates. Guy played at Vanderbilt. Guy was good glove, good average, hit for power, came through the minor leagues looking at, then he just fell off. Couldn't throw a ball across the diamond. Couldn't hit, struck out all the time.
Hey, did you, I wasn't on the show. Did you guys give out futures, MLB futures last show?
I mean, we've hit.
Did not get to that.
No, we've done, and I added. You guys didn't comment on me. I did add a little pizza money. Sonny Gray, AL, Cy Young. Coming in the other day was 4-0 with a 1.82 ERA. I got him at plus 2,000. Pizza money. Now, he was cruising against the Astros the other night. Didn't pitch bad. Threw 6 innings, I think 2 runs. Then it kind of got out of the bullpen a little bit. And then I went with this, I think it's Bryce Elder for the Braves. Mm-hmm. Just to do something a little different because that other guy strikes out everybody in their staff. And, he was 3-0 with a 2.01 ERA plus 9,000. I got him. And he pitched against Oakland last night. Didn't throw bad. 6 innings, I think a run, like maybe 3 walks, 5 Ks. But I mean, overall, any chances, guys, that I should be entertained with that?
Yeah, no, I think there's value in the AL Cy Young race. I mean, Eovaldi still, I was actually looking up where he had fallen to, but he was like 16-1. I think there's still guys out there because it's a pitcher, right? So you never know if they're going to be healthy for the whole season. So it's really hard to take a Cy Young guy at really low odds. I think Strider's at plus 225 or something right now. You just can't do it because a little inflammation in the elbow, a little shoulder, but they're going to be out and miss a bunch of starts and they just fall right off the map. So I think that's a good value getting 20-1. I mean, that's what you got to look for, I think, with all those. The MVP races, I don't know if you can do that. It's kind of wrapped up in those two. I mean, you can go looking for those values. The best value is if Ohtani gets traded to a National League team because it opens up the AL wide open again. But do you really want to speculate on that? So,
do you think he actually gets traded at the deadline?
No, I think they really need to fall off.
I did too.
But Angels are stuck because you can't get enough for them. And I don't know if you can afford to pay him.
I don't think a lot of teams can. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, he supposedly doesn't want to play in New York, which is a problem. It sounds like Seattle has it all lined up, and I'm sure the Dodgers will get in there too. But
yeah, but I don't think the Angels would trade to an interdivision.
No, that's what I mean. So they can't trade on the Mariners. So will they trade them for like a short season to the National League for a team that needs them? Like you can see that. Like there's a bunch of, like the Phillies actually would be a great spot for them. I don't think they have the money to do it. But they need a starter. They could use a left-handed bat. It would actually really fix a couple of their issues right now. But I don't know what they could give up. I don't think they have the farm system to go get them. So it's like I said, his price is interesting because he's a rental. He's not going to sign for a long-term deal with you. You're going to be right back in the market with everyone else. So, But I do think there is a potential there because I think he's just frustrated with the Angels situation. I mean, he should be. I mean, they have the two best players in the world on their team, and they're below 500. They're below the Pirates, so it's not a good equation.
I'll tell you real quick what I do with them. When he pitches, I always look at the other team run over. And I've hit like 3 times this year because my book has it down. Like one night, I forget who they played. It was 2.5. And if you look, he gives up runs. He can give up some home runs pitching. It's easy. I mean, we'll see how it plays. I do it. It's a fade it's an autoplay for me every week or whenever he pitches 5 days. I look at it and I'm like, it's a good number. I'm taking it. I've hit it like 3 times this year.
I'm going to give out a pitcher cue. Smitty, you won't like it because it kind of hurts your Sonny Gray, but his teammate Joe Ryan for the Twins, second in the league in wins, I believe with 7. He's up there in strikeouts. He's not with Strider, who's just playing crazy good. But in the AL, I think it's a good flyer, and I did see some really big numbers on it if you wanted to look into that.
Yeah,
no, he's definitely a guy I don't want on my radar too.
I'm going to throw one more thing I've been kind of doing. Like I said, I didn't give it out today. I played it. I gave it out on the Sharp Angle Syndicate earlier in the week. Anybody that plays the White Sox, look at the team runs over. Just because the starting pitching's And then if you look at the bullpen, it came into this like a couple of days ago, like a 5-point-something, second, I think, worse in the AL. And you can sometimes get it at like 4.5. I mean, if you get anything off the starting pitcher, like I played it today, it was 4.5. Wind was blowing in. So that always kind of scares people. I played the Angels. I played it myself. I didn't give it out. But they got like 2 or 3. Oh, I forgot. We'll go into that's another story. But they got like 3 off Lynn in like 1 inning. And then you go into that bullpen. If you can do that and then you get in that bullpen that's really not good, that's easy. That's easy. Keep an eye on the White Sox.
It's kind of funny, though. Their numbers aren't that bad, the bullpen, over like the last month. But I think the defense for that team is just awful, and it kind of inflates everything.
I might have been crazy for this, but I just threw a little pizza money on the Orioles to win the league at 20-1. It just seems like they're a young talent. You look at their stats. I mean, they don't. Outside of Austin Hayes, he's the only one batting 300 or even close to 300. But they just have that kind of mentality of like, they may not have the best 6 to 7 innings, but then they kind of turn it on late. They're able to find ways to win games. Kyle Gibson's turned into a whole nother pitcher with them. He's got 7 or 8 wins. You look at them, they just kind of seem like a team. They're playing with a lot of emotion, a lot of fun. And when you face Jason and I always talk about this, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, there's some things that you just can't quantify to a number. And I think that's baseball players having fun and vibing well and just having that it factor, right? And I think because they're so young, they're able to relate to each other. They're having fun, the dong bong or whatever they want to call it. Like, they're just a team of destiny, in my opinion, to where I actually don't think it's far-fetched to say they couldn't, be in a position to win that league.
So we were going to do this kind of last week. I actually have written down Orioles to make the World Series. Might not have the best bullpen, but they kind of have that young it factor right now. So I'm spot on with you. And it was 40 plus 4,500 last week. So I'm not sure what it is now, but
I like it.
I like it too.
I don't know if they have enough starting pitching to get through the East. Like, if they were in the Central, I would love it. If they just had to get to the playoffs and then like knock off 2 good teams, then I would be there. Because I agree, they have the mojo, but man, I think they're just going to get ground down in that East. It's going to be so hard. Like, all those teams are still kind of just above 500.
They might make it
as bad as they played. They're still 3 games over 500. Like, this is going to be really rough for that group unless Grayson Rodriguez takes a jump. Like you said, Gibson's going to have to keep pitching at the level he is. If the other 3 really concern me, though. I know they got DL.
That's a team, though, that they don't normally have themselves in a position to make moves at the deadline because they're not, positioned to succeed and make a playoff run. Yeah. They could be a team where they start dumping guys in a nice run and maybe throw, because they typically have, a good farm system. Now there's going to be guys, some of them that are untouchable, as we can imagine, but overall, like, look out for them. Maybe they get a starting pitcher or two. Maybe they go for the Ohtani, rental guy, just to try to, keep this magical thing going in Baltimore. Good fan base when they're winning. Now's the time to shoot their shot.
Well, I think you hit on that there. That used to be a really good fan base, but man, that Pirate series down there, it was empty. It looked like PNC, which was surprising to me because they've been good now for about a season and a half.
Yeah,
where they've been really entertaining.
Come back.
They play fun. It's a fun team, but it's just surprising that they haven't caught on. I'll tell you, San Francisco was another market. I was shocked at how empty that stadium was for the Pirates game last night. Where I just expect them to always have 25-30. Regardless of who they're playing.
They're coming back. They have a section that they sprinkle water on them. They call it the bird bath.
I think the Orioles will come back.
I'm just joking.
That's September Bowl.
Listen, Baltimore people, I'm just joking. It looks like a fun section. Okay, hey, real quick before we dive into our last topic tonight, we have 2 games later tonight. If you need some action from the guys from Notebook Wagering, you got Colorado going into Arizona. Arizona is a pretty big favorite, -162. Any quick thoughts? Anybody jumping on that?
Smitty, you're missing the schedule, dude. You got the River Cats playing the Rainiers, Wawa playing the Aviators.
Well,
the Coast League.
I wish
I'm 1-0 in minor league baseball. That's on the East Coast.
I love it. All right, anybody with that Arizona game? No takers. I might look at team runs. I might look at team runs. This is a game I'm eyeing up because I want to jump into something really quick here before we go off tonight. You got the Yankees, Seattle. This is a really good matchup here. It opened at -156, has gone down to -144, 7.5. You got Schmidt against, I think it's Clark Schmidt against Kirby tonight. Schmidt hasn't pitched bad the last couple outings for the Yankees, but he's not their top guy. I think this is a spot that I think Seattle could get it right tonight because a good team, Yankees are playing extremely well right now. But I think this is a good spot for Seattle tonight. I'm probably going to take money line tonight, and that would be my play on the show here tonight. Anybody else on that game?
You're going to take the Mariners -140? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think Mariners will get this tonight.
I kind of like the over in that game, over 7.5.
I kind of like that too.
I saw Kirby pitched, and you look at the numbers. He's like a 4.4 WHIP right now over his last month of starts. The stuff doesn't really match up with that. He's way better than that when you watch him pitch, but for some reason he's getting barreled a bit whenever he actually does get hit. Seattle's always tough with the overs though because the bullpen's really, really good. But I do like the over 7.5 barely, and then I like the team runs with Arizona. Colorado's starting LeMay, who basically has always been injured for the Padres. Now I guess he's ended up in the Rockies situation, which was basically your last stop before you're kind of done with baseball. But Rocky's offense is a little suspect here against right-handers. Only about 84 runs created, so kind of a little dicey taking them. But I do like the over on the Diamondback team runs. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, hey, let's dive in. We got about 7-8 minutes here. Let's go really fast. We're going to try to do another show maybe tomorrow, and we're going to get it out here on Notebook Wagering also with college baseball. We got the regionals. This guy is all over this right now, and this is our thing. Yeah. So let's just rapid fire some stuff. We're not going to dive into everything here. I have a couple things that the boys want to jump in here. The first thing I want to do, not my top thing, but I'm going to try to be good because we're down in this area. You got Wake Forest, you got Maryland, you got Northeastern, and you got George Mason right around our corner here. Sean Camp did an unbelievable job this year with George Mason. Is there any chance anybody, Maryland, I'm going to just go Maryland, George Mason. Northeastern has good pitching. Can anybody knock off Wake Forest in that region?
No, there's no chance. Wake Forest had some bad luck in the Maryland region last year. Maryland ends up losing to UConn in a regional final. UConn ends up going to Stanford and then loses. Wake Forest is number one in almost every pitching category. It's so one-sided. You almost have to double and triple take the stats because in a college baseball world with 305 teams, you just look in and you're like, am I reading this right? Like, they're number one in almost everything, and they are. I mean, if you watched them, they could be bored out of their minds and still pitch better than anybody else. They are ready for playoff baseball. You could kind of tell in the last month of the season. They did look bored, but they have an offense that's just as explosive as Florida, LSU. They might get a little more overshadowed because of how dominant their pitchers are with Sean Sullivan, Seth Keener, Josh Hartle, and then obviously Rhett Lauder, who is probably number 2 pitcher in the country. Those guys are electric. I mean, it's funny, and I'll bring this up a little earlier than you bring it up. We talked about off the air. So most teams in a 1-4 matchup don't necessarily throw their ace, because they're looking for him to pitch Saturday against theoretically the 2 seed is who they anticipate playing. When you're Wake Forest, your 2 and 3 starting pitcher is a number 1 on every other team. And that's just unheard of in college baseball. A couple teams have some stout pitching, but there's nobody in that region that can challenge them. It's minus 230. I would never lay the juice publicly, but I think it's worth if to get $100 to lay 230 on a Wake Forest. I think that is as close of a lock as you can get, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Maryland in that region would be like the only team you could really give them a run just because of the offense. But you look, and then it's a staff that has issues with walks, and Wake Forest is like one of the best patient
giving up
teams
6 runs a game. Yeah, they're looking bad.
So it's not a great matchup there.
No.
Advance to Deeks. Move ahead.
What you got, Smitty? Or do you just want me to kind of go?
No, I'll keep. I got about 4. I mean, I could just dive in, and the boys want to jump in here. So I got another one here. I think the South Carolina one, Campbell, NC State, Central Connecticut State. South Carolina is a team that, again, kind of struggled. I was on it a little bit, maybe about a month and a half ago. Then they kind of started scuffling a little bit. Campbell's a very good team, 4.53 ERA, good hitting team. NC State's a team that, got robbed a couple years ago when the COVID kind of came around and everything. Last year, they should have got probably in this too and everything. Is this a good spot maybe for like a 3 seed NC State to maybe win this and you can really cash on a good ticket?
Yeah, I think there's some controversy with South Carolina getting in, as the 8th SEC team. Earlier on in the year, there was a no-doubter. They were 4-11 in their last 15, so they kind of limped in. They really leaned on their RPI at number 8 and their strength of schedule number 4. And you could tell the board or the directors that kind of choose who's what, they really, really leaned on the RPI. So that I think that kind of gave them the edge over Campbell, who probably deserved the spot more so for what they were able to do this year. But I do, man, I joke like this. There on a coin flip, if there was a 3-headed coin flip, I think this is the region that you have that. I think if you had a ticket at 275 on NC State, you're looking pretty good. Campbell at 200, and even to get plus money on a South Carolina team that played really bad down at the end of the season. They are getting Cole Messina back, so the catcher, he had some concussion issues, so that's good. Brandon Wimmer, their shortstop, should be back. They also got LaCroix, their third baseman, back. So I actually think South Carolina could maybe kind of bounce out of this thing with a hostile home crowd to make things difficult for NC State and Campbell. But NC State in 2021 probably was the favorites in Omaha to win the College World Series. They got screwed over a COVID scandal. Last year, they got screwed for not even making the tournament. They're a team that is pretty deep. They have good pitching that's kind of went under the radar. They've shown flashes. I think they can make a good run, and I think that's good value at plus 275. For them to only be plus 275 as a 3 seed, I think the committee's trying to tell us something, that there may be a better 3 seed or a better opportunity than maybe some others. So I think if you go South Carolina at the plus 130, the Campbell plus 200, and NC State at plus 275, you're not sitting in a bad spot either way. It's more of how you break down the numbers and what you see fit. I think it's going to be one of the best regions for baseball in a competitiveness standard. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Okay, I got a quick. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can I fire a question at Q?
Yeah.
I'm going to put him on the hot spot. Q, without being biased, tell me why Texas Tech isn't going to beat Florida in that regional.
I just think they're inconsistent. They're pitching. I mean, they have Molina, who's a stud, but then it's a really big drop off. I mean, this is a team that, they lost to North Dakota State earlier in the season. Now they did end up taking the series, but they got embarrassed in game 1. Florida never had any bad losses like that, and I think it's a mentality thing as well as a talent. I don't think Florida has the easiest draw by any means, even though the numbers say they do when they kind of break down the seeding. Texas Tech is always dangerous in the postseason. UConn plays a weak schedule. I don't really understand how their RPI is actually as high as it is. They're a team that played really well last year. They probably should have beat Stanford. Stanford ended up hitting back-to-back home runs late in the game, which is, it's unheard of at that level. So even though UConn's a pesky team, I just think Florida at home is so dominant. I mean, Brandon Sprode is incredible at home. Now, he is a little rocky on the road, so that is fortunate for them. But to have Cags come in, he had a bad start last time, so I think he'll kind of regroup. He'll destroy A&M, and then Florida's going to save their top pitchers, Person, Waldrop, and Sproat for Saturday, Sunday. Molina's going to have to pitch Saturday, and even if they win or lose, I just don't see where they have the extra pitching to kind of make this run against the Florida team who has a bullpen. They can piece together a spot start if need be. And that's crucial in these playoffs. I mean, that's one of the biggest things I'll say on tomorrow's show is when these teams lose and they have to come out of the losers bracket, what team can piece together a bullpen game and still win? There's not many teams that can do that, in my opinion.
Okay. I want to check 2 other things out real quick. The other reason I said it is because Texas Tech actually led the Big 12 in runs. So they
hit. Yeah, they're a machine.
They can definitely score. I'm going to parlay that. And then they're actually 4th in college baseball in ERA. I think they're the sneaky team there. So one of the games that I actually wanted to shout out for, I think is a good bet. I'm not going to say it's a lock by any means. When Texas Tech plays UConn, both high-powered offenses, look for an over in that game. That's a bet to look for.
Yeah, I think, so the 2-3s, it's different. They're probably going to throw their starters. So I think without seeing the actual game line yet, I'll look tonight and probably tomorrow. Look for Texas Tech on a money line if it's minus 200. I think they have the better pitching matchup if Molina goes. And like you said, they're a powerhouse offense, and they have been all season. The problem is they typically, outside of their game 1 starter, they can't stop anybody else. But if he's not going, then I would be a little wary of that and definitely take the over. But if he's going, look at a money line for that team if you get a good price. But no, I agree. I mean, I think they're tougher, and that's where I alluded to. They're tougher than what the numbers say.
Okay, so real funny, and then I'm done here, and then Jason can fire anything. We can wrap up here. I just have a funny thing. Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, Ball State. If you have not heard this story yet, it's down in Kentucky. There's no hotels. So these teams got told, okay, you're going to stay in the dorms. Well, that's fine. Okay, it's a place to stay. The funny thing about the whole story is they want them to pay $185 a night to stay in the dorms. So, Maddie, question for you. My last thing for the night. Slippery Rock. We both went to Slippery Rock, which we enjoyed our time up there. Fun time. How much right now, if you had to go up and stay at Slippery Rock and they said, Matt, you can stay at Slippery Rock, but you're in a dorm, how much would you pay for a night?
Well, I'm not even sure what dorms are there anymore, but if, like when it was orientation and they slapped us in the Founders with no air conditioning, one little slab window that slides open, 8 floors with 1 elevator. I mean, I'm giving you $4 and a throat punch because that's brutal. To actually charge something for colleges that are going to bring in business to the freaking town. What a bunch of dolts down there.
Yeah, but that's not the way it is anymore now. Like, these kids are soft. Like, I know it's the blue-white game in Penn State, and those are hotels now, those dorms, man.
Yeah.
My freshman year, it was 95, like, every day of August and September. We were dying, and these kids don't ever deal with that at all.
Yeah, no, it's all luxury apartments up at Slippery Rock. Now, there's still a couple old-school dorms, but, yeah, everything's a nice apartment.
Yeah, it can't be a nice apartment. It had to be like Founders. Like, I wanted something like that. Okay, good point. Jason, anything before we wrap up, man? Anything you have for Q for college baseball here?
No, I like that region. I want to give me the Mountaineers, baby.
You love you love West Virginia,
that
man.
Kentucky region. They're angry. They're sleeping on terrible beds and little unconditioned dorms. They're going to be out there. They're going to be ready to take down the Wildcats.
I like that. I like that play. I think West Virginia gets them. We'll talk about it on the show tomorrow.
A team that Q loved, Oregon State. I'm going to say that we got some new listeners. Oregon State alum. Shout out to AB and BB.
Hey, I have Oregon. I have a ticket on Oregon State.
I'm off of them. I'm off.
I'm on. Of them. I'm still on.
I'll tell you why. Their number 1 starter is not pitching in a regional, and their number 3 starter is not pitching in a regional.
Okay, I'm off of Oregon State.
Okay, can I get rid of that ticket? Can I get refunded on that?
It just broke today. I wasn't trying to one up you guys. It broke today, so that's it. Another breaking news is Vance Honeycutt, the star outfielder for North Carolina, is not playing in that region as well. So those are big injuries to look out for. I'll plug it as before we end the show. Myself and Matt Grissom and Jason have worked really hard at NCAA Insiders to create a regional guide. We're going to do this for the regionals, the super regionals, as well as Omaha. It's going to be free of charge. It should be out by 10 o'clock Eastern time tonight. We're grinding on it. It's going to have every region broken down with advanced analytics, their odds, a probability stat. It's going to have, our best bets in it, a pick'em section, a nice little paragraph for each region. So it's by far the best on the market, especially at a free price. Please check it out. Follow us at NCAA Insiders. We're going to be pushing that stuff out as well as on Notebook Wagering, because it's kind of a joint thing going on. So it should be a really good regional guide to kind of, I always say we did the research so you don't have to. We're going to give you everything to where you can really make some sound bets and win some money in this tournament. So that should be out by 10 o'clock tonight at collegebaseballinsiders.com. So check that out and download it. It's free. It can't hurt.
And our buddy Matt Grissom is going to be on VSiN tonight, correct?
Yeah, Matt Grissom, my podcast co-host for the College Baseball Insider stuff. He's going to be on with Matt Yeomans at 9:30 Central Time, so 10:30 Eastern Time on VSiN. And again, he's going to be plugging that as well, talking best bets, what to expect from the regional weekend here in college baseball.
All right, guys, it's a busy time of year, but it's exciting, and we are all over it. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Guys, anything else? Let's win some bets.
Let's win some bets.
That's what we do. We win some bets. Q, take us out.
As always, bang your bookies.
Thanks for listening to the Notebook Wagering Podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any episodes, and be sure to follow @Notebook Wagering. Until next time.